Hey guys, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I actually did advertise this one a little bit early or today, and I'm probably going to do this in a couple of different sessions because this is deep, very deep, and um, I'm going to try to talk around some of the language because I do not want it to get taken down. And if you're in the chat or if you're in the room, but just see some numbers, if you want to, you can ask a question in the chat. If I know the answer, I will answer it. And if I don't, I'll tell you I just don't know the answer to that because, none of us know everything. Um, and tonight I'm going to be talking about the God of this world. And I call it the God of this world in a little g. But the people who run this world, they are a group of people, a secret society, and the tentacles stretch way far and wide. And truly, in the Bible, it talks about I believe it is 2 Corinthians 4:4. About the God of this world has blinded the minds of those who are perishing or unbelievers, or they can't see the gospel because they've been blinded. And the God of this world, as we know, is Satan. Now, this this secret society, they still refer to him as Lucifer because um, Lucifer was when he was created. Um, he was made beautiful, and he supposedly was the leader of music in heaven and in charge of praise, and he was one of the highest archangels there were, and he fell from his estate. He was found to have pride in his heart, want to be God, want to overthrow God. So, yeah, he could not stay, and he somehow talked a third of God's holy angels into believing his incredibly, uh, incredibly stupid plan because he is not going to win. He knows that. There's no way. It's just not going to happen. So, okay, there is a secret society, and there are lots of different other societies that call themselves like clubs or groups or whatever you want to say. And they all basically flow like a river back into this main secret society that I'm going to talk about. That is Freemasonry. Um, I've mentioned over and over on here that my maiden name is Mason. Okay. And I actually am a descendant of George Mason in Virginia or up in Maryland. Um, Most of my family on that side comes from Virginia. And basically, there are things that people in the general public, like in the Blue Lodges, in the lower levels of this particular secret society, in the Blue Lodges, in the that yes, there's the first degree, the third, second degree, and the third degree, and then you're a master mason, and most people think, oh well, that's just like the best thing that could happen or whatever. But there are oaths that are taken whenever people join these societies, and they're not good oaths. In fact, the Lord tells us not to even take any oaths like this. Um, but the bad thing is that these oaths, when you take them, they actually bring curses to you and your family, and they have to be broken, actually. And I have done this renunciation prayer several times because of how deep rooted this is in my family. George Mason University is a free Masonic university. Just look it up. You can see it on there. And like I said, my grandfather's name was George Mason, and my brother actually has the same name. And there are several names that are very common. William Mason was my father's name. All these names go back all the way to Scotland, to England, to Ireland. All these places which where the Scottish Rite comes from. And back then, a lot of people were named after their trade, which masonry is a trade. I'm not speaking of the craft necessarily, and they call it the craft. And there's no accident about that because it does have to do with witchcraft, with Satanism, with all these things. And you can even look at our country. Now, I'm going to give you a warning. If you don't want to know the truth, just cut this thing off right now and don't go any further. Because once you know the truth, okay, then your eyes are no longer shut. They're going to be open, okay? And the God of this world depends on our eyes being eyes wide shut, just like the movie. Stanley Kubrick knew exactly what he was doing when that movie was put out. Um, and the problem is because most people that are in the world that are not in Christ are blind to these things. They talk in secret handshakes, they talk in secret signs and signals and sigils. I don't know if you've heard of sigil magic. Now, some of these things you can just take notes on and look them up yourself if you would like, or you can come back later when I make the other parts to this video, because this is just the first part because it's just so deep. And I actually put a link below, and there's a guy named Alatan Childs, okay, and he's Australian, and he was in this society, and he actually has blown the whistle somewhat on it. And he has been pretty forthcoming. I've got to say, he really did, um, show a lot of the things that people are not supposed to show. And I would say that, he's probably in danger. Um, Now, here's the thing. I never myself personally took an oath. So my personal, I haven't broken any oaths because I never took any oaths. However, just being involved in the family that I'm involved in, and my dad and so forth back, uncles, um, grandfathers, just it's so, and women also were Eastern Star, and um, that's what I was going to get to about even the way that our grid is laid out. Freemasons planned the way that our towns are laid out. If you'll notice, there's a Freemasonic lodge almost always without fail within a very small radius to your local town, city hall, or police station. I find that very interesting. I have noticed this without fail, you know, um, as far as I've been able to notice, in the areas that I've been in, because I just take notice of that now, and it's just incredible. Now, I've noticed also that a lot of these lodges are closing down lately. I'm not sure why or what's going on, if it's because things are kind of coming out in the open, things are being exposed, so maybe they're going further underground, or maybe it's just gotten to be that everything is just so wide open that, um, they're doing something different. So I'm not sure, but I will say this, that um, they do speak through signs, symbols. For instance, I'm just going to tell you right now, more than likely, if you watch TV or movies, whoever it is that you watch has joined this society, and they do pay allegiance to Lucifer, because Lucifer, as the god of this world, remember, on the mountain, he told Jesus if he would bow down to worship him, that he would give him everything as far as the eye could see, almost like on the Lion King. But here's the thing, um, you know, think about this for a minute. He couldn't give something that he did not have domain or dominionship over. But of course, Jesus did not do that. And we know ultimately he is, the king of everything. And for a little while, yes, Lucifer, Satan, will have his little time in the spotlight. But overall, we know that we win in the end. And so the symbolism, you'll notice, just watch the repetition, okay? They'll put a hand over one eye and cover it. They will put their finger over their mouth, like shh, as in a hush. And then this is crazy how just revelation comes like this, brothers and sisters, because the other night, because I have not been a Christian forever. Like I said, I came from a family full of Freemasons, and it's a religion. It really is a religion. It is tied in with Mormonism. I'm not saying every Mormon is a Freemason, but it is woven together. And also, it goes back to Aleister Crowley. And I don't want to get into him too much tonight. That's going to be for a later video, because that's going to be once we get kind of deep into this. Tonight I'm kind of glossing over some stuff so that at least you'll be knowledgeable. Because what does the Lord say in his word? My people perish for their lack of knowledge. So I'm going to give you some education tonight, and you need to know these things, because right now, Lucifer and his agenda is rising. It is. And we do not ever want to be caught deceived or unaware that we could be fooled or trapped in or closed in, as the Bible tells us that will happen in the end times whenever people are deceived. The God of this world has deceived them. And even it says that in the end that, the Lord will hand them over to their own strong delusion, that they'll have a strong delusion. So, we have to understand that these things are at work. The spiritual world or realm is way more real than what we can see and touch physically here, because that is eternal. This is just temporary. So, these people in the lower lodges, we've got a lot of people in churches that are Freemasons, and honestly, they're just first through the third degree. They really do not know what they're into. They don't know. Now, regardless if they know or not, they should have a good indication that something's not up by the oaths they take. And if you watch this video that I did link, I'll be honest with you, it's 5 hours long, but it is worth it. It is worth watching it, because it will open your eyes. Hey, Daryl, how are you doing? You're from Bloomberg, Indiana. Welcome. I don't know if you know anything about Freemasonry or anything about the allegiances that the people that are running our world have taken oaths to. I'm glad you're blessed. Yes, that's very important, especially these days. We are blessed, and we're supposed to be a blessing to others. So that's what I'm trying to do. This is not something that I really get a kick or a joy out of talking about, honestly, because, like I said, this stuff is just very heavy in my family. And, my father's passed away, my grandfather's passed away, my uncles are passed away. I know about all of their stupid antichrist, etc. Yeah, that's exactly what it is too, Daryl. It's the antichrist mind. The mind is. Jesus told us even back when he was alive, that the antichrist spirit was even at work then. Okay, so how much more do we know that it's at work now? And, a lot of people will get upset whenever you show the truth to them because they don't want to know the truth. They don't want to know that the people that they idolize on movies and on TV and in music and pop culture, that they all actually worship the God of this world, which is Lucifer, which is the picture that I used for the thumbnail from the video. He made a deal with Nike, and his shoe, had 666 on it, and all this other stuff. I didn't really look into it too much. I saw enough of it though to know what's going on. And again, with the red, the black colors, the red, the black, and the white. Okay, those are the three colors that you can look for a lot, especially the hidden hand, which that's another symbol where they'll put the hidden hand in their shirt, and they will uh, show others who are in the know, who their allegiance is to, including Pope Francis and the Vatican. So let's just get that on the table, okay? Um, we know, or I personally believe that the Pope, for some reason, people won't believe that. So many who follow Satan can keep secrets. Yes, you're right. That's exactly right. They want to hide the truth. They want to show a little bit, okay? They'll show a little bit, give you a little bit of it, just enough, like the movies that are created and stuff, so that when you tell people the truth about this stuff, they just look at you and they're just like, yeah, you're really ridiculous. And you're right, Jesuits. And just like the Chosen, thank the Lord I did not even start watching that, because I really don't watch TV anymore unless it's something that I've got to learn. But Jesuits are fully in control of that show, The Chosen. Um, I've seen some things that some sisters and brothers in Christ have brought up and shown about that, and it's heresy. It really is heresy. And I would just say that if you're a Christian and you do watch it, make sure that you watch it in a state where you're not going to be sucked into that. Because Jesuits are running everything right now. Trump is a touchy subject because so many people worship Trump. They're Christians, I understand that, but it's almost like they look to him as the only thing that can save our country, our world, and no man or no woman can do that. There's never going to be a political answer to a spiritual problem. Yes, we have to vote in who we think, I guess, would be closest to what our beliefs are. However, honestly, we've got the double-headed eagle feeding the same belly, if you know what I mean. Um, People are you Reagan. I'm going to go back to him. Reagan is beloved in America. He is just thought of as like the best president. Well, truly, he was a puppet for H.W. Bush because, and listen, I voted for, well, the first time I could vote when I was 18 was in 1988. So I actually voted for Bush. I was very political as a child, um, even at 10 years old. Whenever um, I actually went to the White House and sang for Jimmy Carter twice, 2 years in a row at their Christmas special in Washington, D.C. My grandfather, who was also into Freemasonry, went. That's the only thing he ever went with me to. I was in beauty pageants growing up. I was also a professional model. Um, and all this stuff is tied together. Oh, it is so deep. But so is the Lord. We're the same age. I was born in 1968. Yep, I was just a couple years after you. I am 50. And um, so, yeah, I turned 18 right around the time, just in time that I could vote. Um, so, yes, I was very, very, very interested in politics. I actually went to school, started studying in started to study law because I actually wanted to get into, um, I wanted to be an attorney and I wanted to be involved in politics. And it's weird because if I look back and I trace through my family history, like all of my ancestors that lived up in Virginia and Maryland and those areas, and also in like Massachusetts, I'm trying to remember, but they were all in the Congress. And in fact, George Mason, who I told you is my descendant of the line, um, he actually was one of the founding fathers that wrote the Declaration of Independence. And, you know, so my family has taught me very proud of the name Mason. And I always did have, I didn't understand the spirituality behind this because I was 27 years old before I came to the full knowledge of who Yeshua Mashiach or Jesus Christ of Nazareth was. I did have a grandmother on my other side who was 100% a Christian. I know she prayed me in, and she prayed and prayed and prayed for me. And at 27, I did accept the Lord, and I'm so thankful that I did get a late start. But I got a lot of knowledge in other areas that will help me out later in life. That's how good God is. Amen. Listen, I'm telling you, Daryl, it's like the Lord honestly chose, or He will choose people out of families, and He knows their heart. He knows our heart, better than we know it ourselves. Oh, that's cool. You got saved when you were 26. See, like when you're in the world, for a long time, like you were and like I was, and we see the things in this world, and then the Lord actually opens our eyes and, and draws us to Him because it says He chose us, right? That's what the word says. He chose us. And I do believe He chose me out of the family I was in because uh, after I got saved, my mom started going to church. She got saved. Um, my brother started going to church with his children. Of course, my children started going to church, which they would have never known anything about, and they were very young, thank God. Um, and so I believe God just like plucked me up out of that family and just also put a certain personality in me. And you know what? The word says how the Lord will take what the enemy means for our evil and He will turn it for our good. Well, that's what happened. I was actually leaving to go model in New York in 1980, well, the end of 87, the beginning of 88. And I would have been 17, barely. And Elite Modeling Agency was one of the ones that wanted to sign me. And I was going to stay in a room or a dorm. It's called a house. And there's one woman that like looks over the girls that stay in the dorm or the apartment all together. Parents are not allowed. We'll come to find out this man in France who actually I met turned out to be a predator and raped many, many models. And John Casablanca was the name of Elite back during that time, and then it turned into Elite. And then Paris Models, where this particular person came from, he also linked up with Elite. Let's just say that I didn't want to be a model. My mother is the one that put me in that when I was very young. I was like 4, and I was in pageants literally every weekend. And looking back, it's so crazy because I was sponsored, by many of the people in my father's lodge paid for my entries to these pageants. And I'm going to tell you something. John Benet Ramsey was, I believe, also her father was a Freemason. And he had connections here in Atlanta and in Colorado. And if you know anything about Freemasonry, Colorado is a huge epicenter for Freemasonry. There is a airport in Colorado. Just look it up. If y'all look at this later, or Daryl, I'm sure you probably already know. But the Freemasons actually built the airport, and there are a lot of signs and symbols in that airport. And there's said to be underground facilities that go for, I mean, just forever underneath it. Yep, Denver. That's right, the Denver airport. And there are murals on the wall that tell her what's coming. Now, you